The Southern Alberta Council on Public Affairs acknowledges that we are gathered on the lands of the Blackfoot people of the Canadian Plains, and we pay respect to the Blackfoot people, past, present, and future, while recognizing and respecting their cultural heritage, beliefs, and relationship to the land. We offer respect to the Métis and all who have lived on this land and made Lethbridge their home.
I am Shelby Zubak, and I will be your moderator today. I am the Executive Director of the Lethbridge Public Interest Research Group and a proud SACPA board member now. Without further ado, we'll get right into our introductions. So today's topic is a very important one. We're going to be talking about addiction recovery, and we have a presenter coming to us from Fresh Start Recovery Center. So addiction can affect anyone, regardless of age, background, or circumstances. Recovery isn't a single moment. It's an ongoing journey that often begins long before treatment and continues well after. At Fresh Start Recovery, they understand that recovery involves more than just removing the substance. It takes connection, stability, and support, which is why they focus on a full continuum of care, offering housing, treatment, and long-term support to help individuals and families rebuild their lives. Before treatment, many face stigma, trauma, and unstable living situations. In treatment, they begin the hard work of healing, building trust, gaining tools, and facing the root causes of their addiction. After treatment, continued support through outreach, housing, and community connection is crucial for achieving a lasting recovery. They have been doing this work in Alberta for over 30 years, and they know it wouldn't be possible without the support of others. Every success is made possible by those who believe in the power of recovery, and they're proud of the partnerships that they've built. Neighbors, partners, donors, and organizations working together as recovery takes all of us united. To speak a little bit more about this, I would like to introduce our speaker today, Chasen Maiko, the Interim Operation Manager of Fresh Start Recovery Center.
Hello everyone, my name is Chasen and I'm the Interim Operations Manager with Fresh Start Recovery. It's our 50-bed facility here down in Lethbridge. We're blessed in Lethbridge to have two facilities, both a 23-bed co-ed facility as well as a 50-bed all-male treatment facility. And then in Calgary, we also have another 50-bed all-male treatment facility. In total in Alberta, we hold about 123 treatment beds, as well as approximately 160 post-treatment beds for people that complete treatment that need continued support in the community setting. Our topic today was regards to main issues that appear for people entering treatment, whether that's prior to treatment, during treatment, or post-treatment. And it's an interesting topic because, unfortunately, every community across the world is affected in one way or another by those that live with addiction and can be better supported by those that are in recovery. So when I talk about addiction, I don't mean just the use of drugs or alcohol. With that, we know that addiction is a process. It's something that's developed over years with an individual and is no usually one root cause. And just with that, the absence of drugs or alcohol is not recovery from addiction in itself. It's solving the root problems to it. We don't enter addiction just because we enjoy a substance. It's usually a repeated factor over years of use that starts becoming unmanageable and takes control over our lives. So when we talk about recovery, we're talking about how can we regain some of that manageability back into our lives. Main issues that can come up prior to entering treatment would come from those that we have a lot of ambivalence, a lot of unknown, and a lot of fear. As we can all attest that with change comes a lot of fear, a lot of uncertainty. And people that live in addiction, even though are typically unhappy with their current circumstances, the fear and not knowing what the future can hold when they enter into a treatment center can cause a lot of ambivalence on whether they should continue or not. We see people come to our doors every day. And unfortunately, they come in and they're just stricken with fear. So one of the things that we like to model is kind of a peer support, as well as, kind of a homey feel for individuals. So that way when they come in, they're no longer just stricken with fear. They have someone that comes up to them introduces themselves, offers, coffee, juice, water, those types of things, help provide some of that support instead of just a straight-on clinical session, because a lot of these people come from backgrounds where unfortunately the clinical systems failed them, or they feel the stigma of addiction whenever they go into a community setting. We want to reduce that a little bit. So that's one of the strongest issues when people enter treatment, is that fear, as well as wait times. The unfortunate reality is, even with 123 beds, we sit with close to 200 people on our wait list at any given time, which creates long wait times for people to access treatment. And unfortunately, we usually have just a small window to capture people who have decided to make that change, that desire to make change, before they kind of lose some of that focus again. The unfortunate reality with the substances that are on the streets or with alcohol, we have moments where we're like, we're done with this, I don't want to continue. But then as the withdrawals set in, unfortunately our bodies are physically dependent and we're mentally dependent. And so then we start seeking that substance again, and unfortunately that can take us out and cause further regression back into our addiction without having that ability to get into treatment afterwards. When people enter treatment, it's a lot of the same thing. I had one individual I was talking with the other day who unfortunately was struggling with wanting to stay or wanting to go. Mentions that he has, a family, kids. It's summertime, kids are out of school. Now I don't have that connection with them anymore, whereas if I was at least at home, even in my addiction, I'd still at least have connection with my family. And it's, utilizing the skills of motivational interviewing, talking with individuals and going through the scenarios with them, doing a cost-benefit analysis on what that would look like if they decide to leave again, and what would that turn into versus if they continue to stay, continue to rebuild some of their lives. The program that we run is a long-term program. Historically, there's been short-term stays, less than 30 days, for people who look for little kickstarts or who might be mandated to attend treatment through employment and different things like that. They come into treatment, they're looking to go through the hoops and return back to where they were at before. We've decided that model doesn't really work. The unfortunate reality is that when people get to the point where they need to go into a program to help them restore some aspects of their lives, a long-term program is a lot more sustainable for people. It took them years to get to where they are today. It's very unlikely that it's going to take a couple of days to dig them out of the hole that they managed to get themselves into. With our long-term program, we look at the holistic care model for them. So not only do people, need to come in and get some clean time, they lose that physical dependence as the withdrawals start to cease. That mental dependence is still there. They still decide that, I have cravings, I have thoughts of using, I have dreams, I have different social groups that I used to go out and use with or do different engagement with. And then they look at their families and their other social supports that are trying to create positive change for them, and they get torn on what to do. With the holistic care model, we look at the biopsychosocial spiritual model of change. The unfortunate reality is that our physical health deteriorates progressively as we're out engaging in our addiction. And with that, we have a lot of downsides to physical health. Our nutrition lacks. We haven't had a blood work in who knows how long. Depending on people's addiction, it might promote further issues with hepatitis or HIV or different things like that, especially without access to safe instruments and harm reduction supplies. When they come into us, they're looking to help try and get some of these issues figured out. So it's common that people are needing to see a dentist, a general physician, to have blood work completed. We have chefs on site that do nutritious meals 3 times a day for everybody. And then we also have a physical component of the program where they're required to do an hour of physical activity to help promote that physical longevity again. When we go into spiritual needs, there's no one-size-fits-all for everybody. The reality is that we get people from every cultural background in with us, and there's people that might have different religious views, people that have lack of religion, those that have cultural strengths in the Creator and different aspects like that. And it's important to justify everyone's spiritual spirituality and cultural being. So we ensure that we work with people on a one-to-one basis on what that looks like. We do goal setting in that life area to help them see where they're at now and where they wish to be, so that way they can help kind of fulfill that little aspect of life. We look at their recovery history. What have you done in the past to help improve where you are at right now? Look at their social well-being as well as family relationships. Family relationships are a big one with their social relationships. If people don't have any family supports, they might have lost connection with their kids, their loved ones. Same with their social background. If all of their friends are out there using, it's hard to keep that same social background. We're looking at helping them reintegrate back into the community and build healthy new social backgrounds. Because when you leave here, who are you going to call? Who are you going to reach out to for support? And what social background are you going to be hanging out with? Look at their legal history. The unfortunate reality is when we start engaging in different substance use patterns, it can cause a lot of legal issues for us, whether that's because we needed to, scrape by to get a fix or whatever that might look like for an individual. It's important that we take care of some of those legal issues. It's very common that people come into us and they're like, I don't have a passport, I don't have any form of ID, I don't have a healthcare number, and I don't have any money. I don't know what I can do. So we need to ensure that we have all their basic needs met. So we feed them, we clothe them, we provide them with any general hygiene products, and then we work on getting connected with local resources to get them those IDs back, so that way they can apply for other social support systems. And then without, you can't even get without a piece of ID or a SIN number, you can't even get a job. So we look at supporting individuals to get those pieces back again, because we're looking at getting them reintegrated back into community. Treatment is a very small portion of time for them. With us, it's a 3-month program. They come in and they only have 3 months to fix what took years to take away from them. And there's no way we can fix all of that at once. So with that, we also encounter post-treatment housing. So when people complete program, we look at getting them into sustainable housing afterwards. We provide outreach support with those that have gone through our program for continued follow-up. We do those goal settings while they're in program with us, and then we do another round right as they're about to leave program with us, so that way they can set that intention on what they wish to do with the rest of their time. And then we have an outreach counselor follow up with them on what that looks like. We do regular meetings with them to ensure that they continue those processes, because the reality is we leave and we lose a lot of structure in our life again. What they've built up while they're in treatment with daily routines and structure, and they leave and now they have the freedom, they almost get recovery burnt out for a period. And that's a really vulnerable period of time for an individual when they transition back to community, because you have crossroads. You can choose to continue the path that you are doing now or regress back to what you knew previous, and it's very difficult for a lot of individuals. So we want to provide support, build that community up, and then have them come back. It's very common that we have people come back to our programs after the fact to connect with those that are newcomers to the program, to help instill positive change on those individuals. For a lot of people, they knew each other while they were out on this, out in the community previously with using, and now when they see people doing good and seeing someone that's achieved 1 year of sobriety, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years of sobriety, it's very motivating to them to know that if that person can change, I might be able to make a change in my life today too. So we ensure that we have the Alumni Association with us to provide that continued support afterwards, because the reality is addiction doesn't just go one way. Recovery isn't a fix-all for people. Treatment isn't a fix-all. It helps build life skills again, typically skills that we've let go to the wayside or might have never learned while we were growing up in life to begin with. Those would be the main issues that we see. With that, of course, we have a lot of social support and family support. With that, we have a family healing program, because roles change. While I'm caregiving for someone who I love, who's in active addiction, when they go into treatment and they come back, I might want to see them do well, but I don't know how to adjust in life now without having to caregive for them anymore. So it's important that we provide healing for not just the individual, but the family units within the household too, because the roles are changing. We're expecting that we're not going to be caregiving for that person, but how do we get to that point now? As well as when we are working with the individual on a slip or a relapse occurs, how do we provide support without continuing to enable the behavior and without having to cut the individual fully out of our lives? These are questions that people come to us often with. And it's a hard situation to be put in, especially when you've been given hope again for an individual that's gone through treatment and who just finished doing 3, 4, 5, 6 months of doing well in life. If a relapse or a slip happens, it can be quite devastating, not only for the individual in active addiction, but for those that are close to them and those that are around them. And so we provide support to all units of the family, so that way we can provide healthier alternatives and outcomes for the individual. With that, that would be my main presentation on some of the issues that we face. And if we have any questions, I'd be open to hearing some of them.
Thank you so much, Jason. With all of that wealth of information, I am sure that there are some questions. So if we do have anybody that would like to ask Jason a question, I will ask you to come and line up against the wall here. If you are not comfortable in coming up in person, you may just write me a little note and kind of funnel it classroom style to the front here, and I'll ask it for you. We do ask that you keep your questions short, just in the spirit of time and consideration of everybody. But without further ado, we'll get started on this section.
Thank you for your presentation, very comprehensive. Appreciate it. My name is Bob Campbell. Just a brief bit of context. At one time, early in the addictions counseling program at the university, I was a lecturer in that program, and I also sat on the advisory committee for the safe injection site, which was, as you know, quite controversial. My question is about treatment. Our current provincial government is pushing for compulsory treatment. My understanding from all the research that's been done is that's not a good approach. I'd like you to comment on that.
Thank you for that question. As we know, compulsory treatment or mandated treatment is quite controversial currently, and it is coming to fruition with the build of 2 new facilities in Alberta. I believe one was coming up in Calgary, which will be a 100-bed facility, and another one being built in Edmonton. With that, I know I have personal experience, let alone I know our executive director has made a public statement on how he feels about compulsory treatment. The unfortunate reality is that every single day we have 200 people on our wait list. With those 200 people on our wait list, we ask for them to check in daily with us, because reality is that a lot of times we lose interest in treatment and people will fall off. And the only way for us to keep them active on our wait list without calling them a month later and finding out they're no longer interested is to have that regular connection, provide regular support, and hopefully continue to provide a sense of motivation for them to continue on the path that they want to see. And it's common with that we have loved ones, children, mothers, brothers and sisters who call seeking help for a loved one, and how can we get them into your center? And it's hard having that conversation with someone that desperately wants someone's family member to make a change in their life without that family member making a change. I know, I've seen one individual who wrote off vehicles after an alcohol binge, would go and drive right off their vehicle, go and drive right off another vehicle. I don't have issues with my drinking. Whenever the family comes over, there's holes in the walls, there's damage all across their house, and the family member's just getting tired of it. It's to the point where that individual's no longer working, the mother's taking care of their mortgage payment. They can't sustain their own mortgage payment and their mortgage payments. Then they sell their house and move into the individual that's, living in active addiction, and all they want is for their son to succeed. But they're not willing to make that choice themselves. At what point do we start to ask, how can we help them make that change? At what point does enough become too much? It's a 2-year process. 2 years down the road, no change has happened. That mother cries every day. That's a common story for the people that we work with, unfortunately. The government's putting steps into very similar as mental health when people no longer have that capacity to make an active choice in their decision on how they wish to proceed with their life. And they're doing that with addiction, same as the Mental Health Act. With the addiction, the unfortunate reality is that people have lost the capacity to make sound decisions sometimes. There's imbalances within the brain chemistry that create difficulties in assessing on their needs, and they just go for the impulsive desires. And it's a process. It's not like people are just going to choose, hey, you're going to mandated treatment now. But it provides an avenue for those that are living in active addiction and the loved ones of that person to be able to help provide that avenue for change. Even in our program is a non-mandated program. It's 100% voluntary. I'd say over 90% of the individuals that come in for treatment are mandated in one way or another, whether that's because their wife says that you can no longer live here unless you go to treatment, or their son or daughter saying, I don't want to be with you because of the person that you've become today. They become mandated, they come in. I can't count how many people that would work with us that say, you know, I'm just here for a family member. I'm here because my work told me I had to come here. I'm here because of X, Y, or Z. Not because I want to be here, but because I need to be here because of those around me. And with that, we see lower participation in group. We see lower participation in the daily chores and the structure and the meditations. But it's very common, I would say at least 80%, if not more, of the individuals that are mandated in some way or another, they have a psychic shift partway through the program. They start to work on daily living activities. We start to talk with them about how doing this can affect your life for change. And we almost get that aha moment when we work with them where it's like, oh, you know what, this is all starting to make sense. And while I didn't agree to be here to begin with, I'm agreeing to it now. This stuff is working. This stuff is making meaningful differences in my life. I'm starting to get my family back. I've been getting interviews for employment. I got my license back. We're making positive growth in life again. And so my opinion on the mandated treatment is that I believe in human rights, but in the same time, when it's affecting not only themselves, but everyone around them, sometimes enough becomes enough, and that maybe it's time to try something. And it's not going to say that it's going to work, but it's going to give them an opportunity and provide that chance for change. And with the trans-theoretical model, sometimes we remain in that pre-contemplation. Doesn't mean that we can't bounce directly into action as well. Thank you. Next question.
Hello, I am Katie Aurora, and I'd like to ask about what municipal governments could do to support you in your mission. Like, what kind of supports would be helpful in expanding your program and helping everyone who needs the help? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. We have an unprecedented amount of support from the provincial government. I know the UCP's ideas on recovery can be controversial at times, but at no point in time in the previous history of Alberta have we ever had as much support in addiction treatment than we have in the past. I started working in addiction treatment back when we had absolutely little to no support. Anyone that was coming in for treatment had to either pay out of pocket or apply for different social support programs and hopefully be accepted to be able to fund their treatment. And then all of our programming was fundraised. Today, we're lucky in the fact that approximately 55% of our funding comes through different government agencies to help support us on our mission, and that's unprecedented. The unfortunate reality is still that that's only 55%, and we still have to fundraise the other 45 to 50% of our funding to ensure that we're providing appropriate services to those that we're working with. And on a multi-million-dollar budget, that's incredibly difficult. Local municipalities in Calgary, we're incredibly lucky with our Calgary facility. We're located in Calgary, and the municipal government there absolutely provides support to us, and we appreciate their support. In Lethbridge, the reality reality is that we actually exist in the county of Lethbridge. And with that, even when we apply for different things, it can be difficult at times because of our location. We're not eligible for certain grants or different incentives, and that makes it difficult because a lot of the individuals that we work directly with will be returning back to the community of Lethbridge and providing that support, taxpayer dollars, and rebuilding the community that they exist in. And so it's important that we get some of that support. And we are lucky, especially with the current mayor in office. He does all that he can to provide us support. With that, we do different community events. We ask for space to be able to host different community events from time to time, and having those governments be able to have open discourse with us and talk about the needs and how we can provide better opportunities for the individuals. It's incredibly important. One of the biggest barriers that we see with people who come into our program is access to transportation. Because we're outside of town, there's no bus routes out to the research area. So people have to walk into town, or we have to be able to transport people into town. And with that, that funding does come from our fundraising dollars to be able to get people to where they need to be, whether that's the dentist, to the lawyer, to the doctor's office, or even to their job interview. So that way they can be set up for success when they complete the program and re-enter the community at large. So that's the biggest thing that the municipal government can help us out with, is having open discourse and being willing to talk about the needs of those that are going to re-enter the community, whether that's workshop programs and different things like that as well. We're incredibly lucky with Recovery Alberta, getting us connected to different mental health supports and different things with that as well as those vocational programs to be able to get people back into the workforce successfully. A lot of times we have people that complete program who have no idea where they want to go in life. And that can be incredibly difficult for someone that wants to have motivation for change. So we get them connected to the Lethbridge College, the University of Lethbridge, Vocational Education through Training Inc., different programs such as that, so that way they can access different ideas and where they want to be in life. Because most of them, when they're in recovery, want to be like you or I and be able to achieve some higher level and have that self-actualization period of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Barb Phillips, I think your presentation was excellent because it shows recovery is a darn hard process. And I'm always buoyed up by a gentleman from downtown East Side, Guy Felisa, I think his name is, who's now an inspirational speaker, but 18 years on the streets and in jail, and now 12 years with a lovely family. It's a process. I was wondering if you could share with us some of your stats maybe on, or your 12-week program now. It used to be 28 days, I believe, at South Country. The stats, 1 week, 2 week, they leave you and go into a little less structure at 12 weeks, I believe, and then onwards. Have you got stats of, say, 5 years down the road? Because if they reuse after they've been off drugs, it's really deadly then, I believe. Anyway, your comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. So yes, Fresh Start came down into Lethbridge in 2020. The old South Country Treatment Center used to be a 28-day program. They were struggling, and Fresh Start Recovery did a friendly acquisition of their program back in 2020, and that's where I migrated from, was from the South Country Treatment Center into Fresh Start Recovery. And since then, we've expanded quite significantly in Lethbridge, and the community at large has been incredibly supportive. We have great partnerships with Lethbridge Housing Authority and different programs like that that help make it accessible for people that complete our program and re-enter the community at large in a productive and healthy manner. We're incredibly lucky in our Calgary facility because We have actually 3 apartment buildings in Calgary that we utilize as post-treatment housing. In Lethbridge, it's unfortunately really difficult to get funding and support for building additional housing, but we're incredibly lucky to work with a few different local landowners in Lethbridge who utilize their properties as post-treatment housing with us with a memorandum of understanding. And so that provides additional support for people that transition from our program into the community. So we moved from a 28-day program to actually a 14 to 16-week program, depending on stat holidays and stuff like that, where people come and integrate and rebuild their lifestyle. They get a chance where they get up Monday to Friday from 7 a.m. where they do breakfast, to morning meditation at 8:45, to starting group at 9:45, having a lunch break, restarting group at 1:15, ending group at 3 o'clock, going into their fitness hour from 3:30 to 4:30, having a little break for dinner at 5 o'clock, and then having time for homework or other, daily living recreation activities from that 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, where they do an evening meditation before bed to get their mind sorted out. And then they go to bed and restart it again the next day. That's an incredibly intensive program for people, especially for people that aren't working a program or have been street involved for the past period of time or living at home on their own time. It's quite intensive. When people come in with us, it's overwhelming for them. By the time they leave us, they get scared about returning back to regular life because they're just so used to being with us. And it's important that we are not the tool. We provide people the tools to succeed. When we become the tool, we're failing them in a way, and that's seen with stats and how people perform after the program is completed. We're incredibly lucky. We have a very strong alumni association with us that stands about 400 active members at any given time, who is their own non-charitable organization as well, whose primary focus is to come back into the treatment program and provide fund support to those individuals that are in the program with us, whether that's going to a laser tag event, doing some whitewater rafting, doing a little Super Bowl party inside of the center, going fishing and reclaiming these activities that people used to only do while they were intoxicated, and doing it in a sober way that's now fun, and knowing that, hey, we can do this without all that extra. We're incredibly lucky that we have actually approximately an 83% completion rate of our program, which is quite well for a 3-month program with us. After that, we have people that stay connected. Those that stay connected are the ones that we see that succeed the most. And we do actually birthday celebrations on the last Wednesday of every month. So last night I was able to attend our birthday celebration with our alumni who came back to celebrate milestones. I have one individual who's actually a staff member with us now after 4 years of being in active recovery, who's come full circle and even identified. They supported me spiritually, mentally, physically, and now they're supporting me financially too, because they're employed with us, which is an awesome moment to see. As official stats, I believe 1 year sobriety rate. We are a fully abstinent-based program, so the expectation is that with our program, they stay fully abstinent. When they come back for their birthday celebrations, we like to keep tabs. We do regular check-ins with the individuals, and every year we check in with the individuals to see how they're doing, see if they want to come celebrate that sober milestone with us. We have approximately a 55% 1-year sobriety rate, which, for those that might be unaware, is actually incredibly high, because relapse rates for individuals is quite large. It's expected that when people complete the program, there's kind of a 50-50 split on for those that relapse or those that continue to exemplify what it means to be in recovery. And for us, that would be even the slips count. So, people that just have a one-time use and then return back to abstinence, we reset what their clean date looks like for their 1 year. But that doesn't mean that they're not doing good. It just means that they had a blip on the road. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good talk. My name is Dan Kortakowski, and for those of you who know me, know I have an addiction to the game of hockey. Maybe not the right teams, I don't know. That's okay. No, but on a serious note, I would just like to say that I'm presently in the process of reading a book. It's called, what is the father? Yes, by Scott Oak. And After Hours is my favorite program. And I feel sorry for Scott, him and his wife, that they lost their son to addiction. And I guess I could say this, is that I've been 26 years away from alcohol. I quit clean soberly by cold turkey, I guess you could say. Just decided enough's enough. I don't want to lose friends. I don't want to lose relationships. And mental health is something that I'm a huge supporter of because I'm affected by it. I would like to see basically everybody on the same playing field. Unfortunately, that may not happen. I don't know. But social work and due processes are things that help out a lot towards helping people out. And I'm a huge advocate of anybody that can help somebody out. So I just wanted to know your thoughts on Scott Oak and the situation, and I'll take it from there. Thank you very much.
26 years is quite a milestone. I know our executive director, Bruce Holstead, sends his regrets. He was supposed to be the speaker today, but unfortunately he fell ill and had to asked me to come in his place last night, and he was deeply regretful of that. He's an individual that's in long-term recovery as well. He's been with the organization for 25 years and has been in long-term recovery for just over that, and community partnerships and social supports are incredibly needed. The Scott Oak Scott Oak story that he's talking about is in Bruce Oak. For those that are unaware, Bruce Oak Recovery Center is a recovery center in Manitoba. And we were incredibly lucky to have partnered with them when they were designing their program. We actually flew staff out there when they started up operations to provide support to those individuals. And their program's actually modeled with our program in mind. We created an MOU with them in place to ensure that they had as much support as they needed from us to get that program off on its feet, to the point where, for those that are unaware, when we were celebrating those sober milestones, when people get 1 year clean and sober, we actually get a tile made with the Fresh Start logo engraved, the individual's name and their clean date on it, and so that way they can take a nice photo with it, and we actually attach it to our walls in our dining rooms to be able to showcase the impact that that person has had on their lives, and they can come back and have those pieces. When they hit 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, etc., we actually hang a jersey in our rafters with their clean date, how many years they have, and their name on it as well. In our Calgary facility, we have hundreds of years in our rafters, and it's an incredible piece to look at. It provides a really impactful statement when people ask what is recovery, to be able to see the tiles and the jerseys and people exemplifying what it means to be in recovery. With the Bruce Oak program, they've been doing the same thing. If you ever see any of their posts on Facebook or anything, they have jerseys up in their rafters for their 1 years, so that way they can have that mission and that impactful statement. The unfortunate reality is addiction does not discriminate. It does not matter who you are. We have people that come into our programs that are nurses, doctors, police officers, tradesmen, any profession you could think of. It doesn't discriminate. And the same with age. We've had people, we're an adult-only program, so we have people as young as 18 in our program. And in our Lethbridge program, we recently had someone as old as 78 years old complete our program. At the end of the day, it doesn't discriminate. What matters is what's going through your life at that time. We work closely with the Palix Foundation, with the Alberta Wellness Institute, with the Brain Story. Any of our staff that work with us are required to complete the Brain Story, including our maintenance and our kitchen staff. So that way they have a general idea of some of the small pieces that people might go through to be able to come from that trauma-informed lens. Because the unfortunate reality is that we have a lot of significantly high rate of concurrent disorders with people that live with addiction, and it's important that we respect that. We have a partnership with the Blood Tribe Department of Health. They're getting a recovery community built by the Alberta government on the Blood Tribe in Cardston as well. We've created an MOU with them so they can pull pieces of our program, because the biggest thing is that we can't do it alone. Community engagement and working as a one unit is the most helpful way we can make an impact on people's lives. When we gatekeep information or gatekeep a program, it doesn't help anybody. So we're all about the business of helping different social support networks to ensure people's success, because we're in the business of success, and people's success means that they regain their lives. Thank you.
Hi, thanks for your presentation. I thought it was really great. My name is Deb Rakes. I wonder, you started talking a little bit about it just now. I wonder if you can expand a little bit about the community connections and support. So if you have a teacher, a doctor, a nurse who goes into recovery, are you able to draw somewhere out of that working community to get support for them? Do people volunteer to you? Do organizations volunteer? Just kind of wondering how you're filling out, because I imagine there's not enough staff to meet every cultural need. And some groups are better at it than others. And just wondering how you're working with that.
Thank you for that question. That one is an awesome one. Absolutely. The unfortunate reality, again, is we have to fundraise a big portion of our operating budget, and because of that, we're actually very limited with our staff. Our outreach department is one of the most impactful pieces of our program for that aftercare, and it's 100% not funded. So that's where a lot of our funding dollars go to, that we fundraise. So with that, we unfortunately do not have the ability to capture every cultural aspect or every individual niche group. So instead, we make partnerships and work very closely with those in the community that can help provide additional support. We're lucky that we have a couple of individuals who work with us that are part of the Indigenous community. But with that as well, we connect to different Indigenous programs, such as the Indigenous Recovery Coaches here in town, the Blackfoot Resource Hub. They do different cultural events that they invite us out to, as well as we invite them out to. An example of that would be on August 20th, we'll be hosting a community alumni barbecue. A Whoop Up Days barbecue for the community and for our alumni to come and engage in. It'll be a free event where we have lots of food and lots of joy, and the Sage Count will be coming out and doing a traditional teepee raising ceremony for us as well, where they'll do story sharing and different pieces with that to those that want to volunteer and help with the teepee raising. We've gone out onto the local reserve land and helped with harvesting teepee poles, as well as doing the teepee pole cleaning and debarking of them, and have worked closely with different Indigenous groups for getting a traditional medicine garden on our property as well, so that way we can continue some of those cultural aspects. We're incredibly blessed to have some of those pieces, but the same holds true for other cultural and spiritual practices. We'll do different partnerships with groups such as like Parallel Church, who do a lot of help with us with getting hygiene packs for us, helping with clothing donations and different pieces. And with that, we ensure that for those that are interested in some of the spiritual aspects of their religion and how they present it, we get them connected to be able to support them in that way as well. We'll do different events in the community, such as the Cinderella Project. We'll get all of our people to go out and volunteer and help set up all the racks for that, to be able to kind of provide that community support. And in turn, we get invited to different things like medicine gathering ceremonies and stuff like that. And it's incredibly important that we do a kind of a two-way street with individuals, because if we just take, people don't want to give. So we give what we can, and we're very blessed that people give what they can, and we're always looking to further our horizons and connections with different community agencies and different spiritual groups and stuff like that as well. Thank you.
meet you. I'm Bev Mundell-Atherstone. Thank you very much. It's really great to hear that you continue with people post-treatment and also help them to find housing, because these are really essential aspects. You mentioned that the Bill 53, which has become an act now, the Addictions Compassionate Intervention Act. You mentioned something about it, but I just want to clarify. It is not the same as the Mental Health Act. The UCP government has advertised this as a parallel act, but it is not. With the mental health program, the individual has the option of going or appealing to a review panel and requesting opting out. There is no such option under the mandated addiction bill. The mental health, the Mental Health Act only allows 1 month for a person to be kept in a treatment. The Addiction Act allows up to 3 months for a person to be kept in an addiction center. With the Mental Health Act, there are very clear guidelines and clear decision makers with professional medical backgrounds, usually psychiatrists. In the forced addiction treatment, there's no clarity as how addiction is determined, nor who determines this. Is it a professional or a politician? And who ultimately signs the form that says this person now has to have 3 months of forced treatment? All of that is unclear and has been and remains unclear even though the bill was passed. So there are some major concerns about the addiction treatment, the so-called Comprehension Intervention Act. It is not compassionate. It is actually eroding on a person's freedom of expression, freedom of movement, and so on. So we should be very, very aware of how this is interfering with our rights under the Canadian Charter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I can't say much on that other than absolutely we need to make sure that there's discourse and be aware of what's actually occurring. And it's incredibly important to be informed of what's occurring rather than taking a blind stance on it.
My name is Mark Guddle. Alcoholics Anonymous has a long, successful history. I'm just wondering if you could comment on their program, and do you have a relationship with them? Do they refer people to you, or do you refer people to Alcoholics Anonymous?
Perfect. Thank you for the question. It's important to differentiate what 12-step programs are versus what we are. So while we are a 12-step based program, so with that we take our individuals through the 12 steps. We get them to get connected to different 12-step organizations and different 12-step meetings. We get them to go through the pieces and obtain a sponsor and have that sponsorship because it's incredibly strong. The reality is that Alcoholics Anonymous and the subsidiary programs, NACA, CMA, etc., are incredibly successful. And because of that, we have it incorporated within our program. It's an expectation that people come into our program, that they attend 4 12-step meetings per week in the community because they build that new social group at large. The reality is that when people leave us, they need to have that social connection. They need people that they can reach out to. It's important that we're not the tool, but they have the tools. And with that comes those specific supports in the community that they can reach out to. With the AA program, they're by no means associated or affiliated with us. They take pride in the fact that they're not affiliated with any particular organization outside of their own. They're self-sufficient, and they do not require us, and the only required piece to enter is the desire to stop drinking or the desire to stop using. With that, we get a lot of people that go to the 12-step rooms who are in early recovery, and with that, we have what are called long-timers that have been in the rooms for quite a substantial period of time. And it's important that we get those that are in treatment connected to those individuals, because those are like-minded individuals, people that have similar experiences that they can bond and connect with, that also have a desire to stop using, drinking, and engaging in those behaviors at large, and they can have that support without always requiring a treatment center. AA is incredibly successful. By no means do they require any treatment centers outside of themselves. They just require that people start working with their program and work the steps.
Thank you. When cannabis was first legalized, there was concern, of course, that this will become another addictive problem. Just wondering, in your opinion, has that really become a big problem? Do you have a lot of people who are addicted to cannabis?
Thank you for that. That one's a hard one because we didn't see necessarily a change of events when cannabis became legalized. Majority of the people that come to us, we are drug and alcohol based, so we're not for people that just have specific process addictions, so those that may have a gambling addiction or different things like that. So they have to have an addiction to it, some type of substance, whether that's a type of drug or a type of alcohol in general. With that, I'd say 99% of them have identified cannabis use in the past and might have indicated that it might have been substance abuse in the past as well. We haven't seen a necessary uptake in the amount of people that have identified cannabis use since its legalization, but a lot of the people that we work with go to street sources for a lot of their chemicals that they obtain. So the legalization didn't have a large impact in that amount. But I would say that we have seen an uptake in younger people who have called for assistance, specifically with their primary substance of choice being cannabis. So we have seen an uptake in that, whereas prior to, we primarily only seen people with specific primary substance of choice as alcohol, methamphetamine, cocaine, crack derivative of cocaine, or methamphetamine or fentanyl or different substances such as that.
My name is Knut Petersen. Thanks very much for filling in on short notice, Chase. That's very appreciated when you're organizing these events. It's always nice when the speaker shows up. My question relates to, I imagine there's a lot of different age groups represented at Fresh Start. What is the main age group using your services? I'd also like to know if you have a relationship with the Lethbridge Correctional Center, because as we all know, a lot of people in the Correctional Center has addiction issues as well. So if you could fill us in on that, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. So age range, again, we're 18 plus treatment center. We have people from all different ages. The primary ages that we see are from the grouping of 30 to 39 and 40 to 49. That'd be the primary group of people. I'd say 50% of the people at the center I've worked at specifically have been falling into that age range or more. In regards to the Lethbridge Correctional Center, absolutely, we have a partnership through the TLUs, which is the therapeutic living units. So those that are on site with the Lethbridge Correctional Center that have identified substance abuse issues in the past can engage with the TLU programs. The TLU programs are therapeutic in nature. If they're engaged with the TLU program, their TLU counselor will reach out to Fresh Start Recovery as well as other treatment programs to help provide them door-to-door support afterwards. It's people complete their sentence in the TLU, so they don't get out early or anything like that. But for those that want to make meaningful change in their lives, can elect to go from door to door from the correctional center into treatment afterwards. And we do our darndest to ensure that they do door-to-door transition, so that way they don't fall through those cracks. Because again, that's a quite an important transitionary period for a lot of people. So the TLUs are incredibly helpful in the fact that they'll get people connected with, such as the Foothills Detox Center in Fort Macleod for transitions if we can't accommodate a door-to-door transition. So they'll hold them for, sometimes up to 30 days to be able to get them into a door-to-door transition spot with us afterwards. And that relationship is incredibly important. We recently had a couple people who went through the TLU program and then came into us for treatment. And one was our house rep. So we have those that are kind of exhibiting leadership qualities become house reps in our program, who can be like a main go-to to do house tours for those that might be new to the program and be that big peer support model for that individual. And then the individual obtained work with us. They stayed on site with us for an additional couple months afterwards before finding housing and then re-entering back into the community at large, and is doing quite successful. So we look forward to seeing how they continue to do. And that's why it's important to note that even if people come from a correctional center, if people want to make change in their life, they absolutely can. And it's important that we don't stigmatize those individuals.
Let's do this. Hi, my name is Carol Sakia. Whatever happened to Sam's? There was a place downtown called Sam's, do you know? And then I've got another question.
So Sam's is the Southern Elkhare Manor. They actually still exist downtown. We utilize them for those that complete our program. I'm sure most of us are aware, but we have a bit of a housing crisis here in Lethbridge where there's not a lot of sustainable housing available for people, especially who might be lower income. So we have to utilize different programs such as the Southern Elkhare Manor, as well as the Streets Alive mission, to assist with people to be able to transition for longer periods of time while they work on obtaining sustainable housing afterwards. So they're still around. They still definitely help out, and they're still a great member of our community.
And you mentioned, it sounds like you have 73 beds in southern Alberta, or Lethbridge, okay. So tell me about your staffing complement. As far as post-secondary education, the University of Lethbridge has that addictions program. I'm just wondering how many of them are working in your field, and what are the kinds of credentials your staff might have.
Thank you for that question. We're incredibly blessed to have quite a diverse staff portfolio. As I mentioned previously, we have someone that's been on staff with us who've gone through the program and is celebrating 4 years of recovery. With that, even our director of operations is also an alumni of our program who have gone through and has quite a substantial amount of lived experience, both in active addiction and now in recovery. Our executive director is also in recovery himself, so he has quite a diverse portfolio of knowledge on what it's like to be in active addiction and now in active recovery and what challenges come with that. Our staffing model is quite diverse. We have client support workers, we have outreach peer support workers, we have addictions counselors on site, we have chefs, we have maintenance. The requirements for credentials depends on the person's role. Our client support workers, we require them to have certain level of experience. We try and have 2 years of experience in the addiction field. They might not necessarily require to have a degree or diploma in the field, but we get them certified with either recovery coaching or peer support work. So that way they can provide general support to the individuals we work with. We have a lot of individuals who have lived experience in those roles. We're also incredibly lucky that our addictions counselors are all have some type of degree in the field as well. We do have a couple of members, our program manager and both of our Lethbridge locations are graduates from the addictions program here at the University of Lethbridge. I myself hold a degree in psychology from the University of Lethbridge as well, and then an after degree diploma in addiction studies to help complement that a little bit. It's important that we not only have academic experience, but we also have a diverse amount of lived experience. So that way we can more appropriately work with the individuals and ensure that we're coming at it from all angles rather than just from a scholarly route or just from a maybe a less informed route. So we work collaboratively. We have, like I said, 50 people in one of our facilities, 23 people in the other facility. They're all assigned a specific case manager, which would be their addictions counselor, but every staff member provides support to that individual throughout their journey, whether that's maintenance, assisting them with ensuring how to do their chores, teaching them proper ways to have general hygiene with clothes washing and stuff like that. Our client support workers with day-to-day structure, getting them for wake-up calls and pieces like that. Or general groups with our addictions counselor in a group setting or an individual one-to-one setting. And then, of course, we have our admin supports that assist with all those pieces, too. Thank you.
Hello, James Bruce. A quick question. You mentioned in Calgary Fresh Start, Manitoba. How does Lethbridge compare as far as size or issues that you deal with compared to maybe a larger center or in another province?
Thank you for the question. The reality is that we have a lot of individuals that actually reach out from other provinces because Alberta is the only province in Canada that I'm aware of that has no-cost treatment for individuals that are publicly funded treatment centers. So a lot of places, basically everywhere, has private treatment centers where clients would pay out of pocket, but Alberta is the only one in Canada that has publicly funded treatment centers where as long as you have an Alberta healthcare number, you can call, get on the list, and come in for treatment at no cost to yourself. Because of that, we have a lot of people reaching out trying to see if they can come in for treatment, and we're quite progressive in Alberta in that regard, and a lot of other provinces are trying to follow suit with that. I know that the advisory committee was talking with other committees across Canada to try and integrate on some of those pieces, and we look forward to seeing what some of those might look like. In regards to the addiction issues that we see in Lethbridge compared to Calgary or other areas, I think we always hear that per capita we have quite a high amount of addiction and homelessness issues, which is unfortunate. With that, it's important to note that when people come in for treatment, they don't just come in from the Lethbridge area. We support people all across Alberta. We look at different supporting factors for an individual to best set them up for success. And we'll do transitions to our other treatment centers based on what that looks like to help them succeed in their life. If someone has a lot of negative influences or factors in Calgary and they identify that that's not really a safe place for them, we may look at putting them down into Lethbridge. But with the amount of wait lists we have, it's also very much, if we have a spot, we want you to come in because we want to be able to help you, and there's a lot of people on the list.
Wow. Okay. That was a lot, and we are obviously extremely grateful for the information and the time. So thank you once again, Jason, for all of that. Yes. The work that you do is important and extremely impactful and obviously has touched many people in this room. So I do want to just remind everybody that if you would like to reflect a little bit more back on this session, it is being recorded and it's available on SACPA's website, our YouTube channel, and it will be shown on Rogers TV community channel if you want to reflect on any of the questions or the information there. There are also some pamphlets with further information at the front table here if anybody's looking to grab some or to share some. And I do want to remind everybody again of the Whoop Up Days barbecue that Fresh Start will be having. We just learned the importance of fundraising and community building, so let's continue to try and show up for everybody there too. This kind of brings us to the end, and it transitions us into our AGM shortly here as well, which is the perfect time to remind everybody that SACPA memberships are encouraged and available at $30 per year, and the LSCO memberships are also useful. However, neither are required to attend our sessions, and this is for the people on TV right now. A suggestion box is also available for any ideas and comments if you would like to see or hear about something specific. And we would also like to acknowledge that LSCU is kindly providing this room for free of charge. And if you'd like to, please just continue to patronize their facilities. Thank you as well to the University of Lethbridge and Rogers TV and Tangle Media for their valuable support. And thank you also to the Lethbridge Herald and other media for their coverage. That kind of wraps up our session now. I invite everybody to continue to stay for our AGM. And one more round of applause again for Jason here.